Rich Friends, it's Dr. T Mac here. And in today's episode, I have the honor and the privilege to talk to my good friend, my sister, the Profitable 31 woman. Y'all, she is absolutely phenomenal, phenomenal. And she's going to be talking to us about how she went from being a CNA to opening up her own CNA schools. So you do not want to miss this. Stay tuned. Thank you so much, Anissa, for joining me today. Thank you for blessing my audience with your presence. And I'm going to jump right in because everybody has been saying, what is this thing about this CNA school? What's going on with the CNA school? How can I start my own CNA school? I even have a mentee in my inner circle that's like, I want to start a CNA school. And I'm like, hold on, listen, I'm not her. I'm not her, but I can get her on here. So welcome, Anissa. And let's just start out by saying, like, what made you start opening up CNA schools?
Well, I was a CNA 2008, and I just saw how vital our roles were in the hospital. And I was just very inspired. I was thinking, okay, when I become a nurse, I want to teach more CNAs how to be better CNAs, right?
Gotcha.
And so 2008, of course, we know the recession hit, the economy went down the toilet, right? And so as I was doing my prereqs for nursing, there became like this long waiting list to get into nursing school. And so at that moment, I had to make a decision. Was I going to, wait 2 years to become a nurse, or was I just going to get my bachelor's degree in public health, which, took all of my nursing prereqs, and then I could continue on. So I decided to get my bachelor's in public health, continue on as a CNA, but I always had this dream of starting this school. And so I said, okay, I'll get my, public health degree, and then I'll go into the master's of nursing, and then I could start my CNA school. But that also didn't happen. So God had some detours, to take me on. But it was me being in the position and seeing the importance of our role that really inspired me to want to become or have a CNA school.
Okay, so how many are they all online, or do you have like some online and some brick and mortar?
So the one that we have in California is currently online, and we're moving into in-person again. The very first school that I started was in person, and that was Bloom CNA School on Crenshaw. That was an in-person school. The online didn't really transpire until about, I would say, a year before the pandemic. But what we're moving into now, the other locations will all be online.
Okay, so let me ask you. I gotta talk I gotta get a little juicy, right?
Go ahead.
What in the world? Like, what happened? Like all these fake nursing degrees. Like, no. I mean, that's what's trending now. I'm like,
yeah.
And it's in the state that I'm in, right? It's in Florida, and I'm like, oh my goodness. What is that about? I mean, I know your schools are not giving out fake CNA certificates, but I'm just saying, like, what is that about? What do you think is going
on? I think I'm gonna take an unconventional way to look at this because I have seen nurses like up in arms about this, right? The thing that most people I feel like are not talking about is the fact that they got the fake degrees, right? And they were able to pass the NCLEX. so like people were getting the fake degrees, right? Let's think about this. They're getting fake degrees. They didn't go through the proper educational channels, but most of these people passed the NCLEX. So this is the thing that I talk about in the medical field, because I think the way that I talk about it, people feel like I have something against medical professionals. Well, I still at heart am a medical professional, but I want people to kind of pull back the emotion, because this field, I've never seen a field where people are so emotional about a job. You know, they are emotional. Like when you tell somebody or you ask somebody a question, they lead with what they do. They'll say, I'm a nurse. And I've even had this lady, I was at the bank one day and she's going off on this manager. And I said, man, why are you talking to him like that? Do you know she told me, I'm a nurse? And I was like,
Okay.
what does that have to do with anything, right? This is one of the fields that I find it very interesting that they cannot disconnect their identity from what they do, right? And
Right.
so it's hard. It's very hard, and people get really, stuck on this occupation. And I love the field. I think it's a vital field. However, I think it blinds people to certain things. Now, when I saw that, I said, man, that's jacked up that, you have people taking care of patients and they weren't properly trained, right?
Right. Right.
But
Right.
there are some nurses who have been properly trained, taking the NCLEX, who should not be taking care of patients. Like
That's true.
they
That's
should
true.
not,
That's true.
because this field requires compassion. It requires empathy. It
But
requires you
that's
to be
something that you can't
proactive.
teach. You can't learn that in school anyway. So I
You
mean,
cannot learn that in school. So it was two things that I thought, like, man, these people were out there taking care of patients, probably not properly taking care of patients because
mm,
they were not properly trained.
mm,
But then how did they pass the NCLEX? So which lets you know that this field is not necessarily hard to get into. It's not even hard to do,
mm-hmm.
but it takes a special person.
Right.
And I think the medical field or the nursing field right now has been so much conversation about the money
Mm,
and about, not getting respect and all of these things that don't really, there's a difference between that and the business of it, right?
mm.
That I think a lot of nurses and people in general are blinded to the fact that this whole occupation started off as a trade,
For sure. For sure.
you know, that
No, it
has
did.
now advanced. It has advanced into a higher level of a career, which is great, and we need that. We need nurses to advance and ascend into, in this
Different things.
field.
Right.
But I just
Me,
think that they're too emotional about it.
I don't know. I've been a nurse for 30 years or
Yeah.
28, 29 years. So I'm in my feelings, and I haven't like practiced nursing since 2018, but
Hmm.
I'm still in my feelings about like you can't just come off the street and take a test and say, "Hey, I'm a nurse." I mean,
You can't.
no,
I agree with
that's
you.
not. Yeah, I don't like that at all. So I'm glad that everybody's being prosecuted or whatever, and all of that,
Yes.
and they can deal with that. However, there is a shortage of nurses.
There
There,
is.
there is a shortage. There's a shortage of CNAs. There's a shortage in the whole healthcare
Yeah.
industry. There's a
Yeah.
shortage. So I see that, by you having your schools and
Yeah.
you're training women and men who want to
Yes.
be healthcare professionals. You're training them and sending them out, to get, great jobs and things like that. But I want to talk about it on the other side, like the business side of it,
Yes.
more so than I'm trying to think of an more so than the
The
other side.
emotional side.
Right. So the business side of it,
Yes.
how long does it take? Let's say I wanted to open up my own CNA school from,
Yes.
and I'm in Florida. So let's say I wanted to do it in Florida and I wanted to do
Yes.
brick and mortar. How long is that process from the thought, from idea to cutting the ribbon, opening my doors?
Florida is an interesting state. Florida doesn't take long, but there is a process that's a little bit different than what we have in California. Florida, they have like inspections, that they have to do. California, we have inspections, but it's with CDPH, with the Department of Public Health.
All right.
But there are some states that have like zoning on top of just getting approved by states. There's some zoning things that they have and things like that. So Florida, it wouldn't take long. It's just a matter of making sure that where you're putting it is, a place where schools can be. And so I would say from start to finish, you can do a school in Florida less than 60 days if it's done
What?
right. Less than 60 days if it's done right. So I've had someone tell me how difficult it was, and they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And the only thing that I realized that they have is just the awareness of how to do it the right way and how
Okay.
to position it and things like that.
So I was thinking like 6 months. I'm talking about brick and
No,
mortar. And you're like, no, 60 days.
yeah.
Okay. Let me back up then. How long would it take? Like, what's the average, like nationwide? Is it 60 to 90 days or?
So typically, when you submit to the state, they will say that they have 90 days to respond to you, right?
Okay.
We're starting one with a client in Philly. Philly told us the same thing. However, Philly was in transition of changing their laws about their online space. So
Okay.
I had a client who wanted an online school. We presented it to Philly. Philly said, well, we have these waivers, but get back to us in 6 months. So we waited for 6 months for the state to get back to us about their online. Philly turns around and changes their law and says, well, you have to be a physical school for 2 years and then you could do online. So
Mm,
that, for that particular state, it took a little bit longer because they were in transition. And the healthcare field in general is in transition. But if you have
for
states
sure.
like California that are already developed and markets that are moving fast,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't take long. I mean, the state will say, give us 90 days,
Mm-hmm.
but we just submitted for in person 2 weeks ago and we're already being approved. So I think
Wow.
the time space is really having a professional that understands the business side of a CNA school and know how to communicate to the state. That's the part that you
That's the part
actually
that's
get.
missing. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because you
got
could
it.
be a nurse, but you don't, it doesn't mean, or you could just be another person. But if you don't really understand the language of the state and what they're asking you for, it could take a long time.
That's why you're so important and
Yes,
what your role is very, very imperative to
yes,
helping other people open their schools.
communicating
That's
to the
how
state.
you know you can open your schools in like 60 days or less, where
Yes.
it's taking people years because they don't know how to communicate. Oh my God, did our mentor not say communication is like the
It's one of the
expedited
highest levels.
levels of, oh my God, of value?
Yes, yes, yes.
So, in other words, and I know this may go over some people's head, and it may
Yeah,
not. And
yeah.
so, in other words, where it would take, let's just say someone off the street to say, I
Mhm.
want to start a CNA school, they can
Yeah.
get a building, they
Mhm.
can get policies and procedures, they can get the electricity turned on, they can buy all this equipment and stuff, but they can't talk to the state and get the state to approve them to open their
Yeah.
doors.
Yes.
Versus having someone like you who knows how to properly communicate with the
Yes.
state, you know the lingo, you know exactly what they're looking for,
Yeah.
even though, and I know this because Lord knows I have several businesses. I
Yeah.
know that what they say when they have those bullet points is very, very ambiguous. They use ambiguous
Yes.
terms that you don't know what they mean. It could mean this, it could mean that, but
Yeah.
unless you're in it and you
Yeah.
do the thing, you will not know. And that's, it just hit me, sis. It
Yeah.
just hit me. That's
Yeah.
why what you do is super, super important in this industry.
Yeah. And so
OMG.
yeah, it's two things too that
Wow.
so having somebody that, because you have consultants, right? That are
Mm-hmm.
consultants based off of theory. And so they'll give you a to-do list and they'll say this is what you need to do. But there's two things that I do as a consultant. I'm always looking to help the owner save money. So there are things that you don't need to buy right away. There are things that we need to focus on first, right? So I never tell someone just get a building and go do this and go do that, because I know that there are some steps and things to do prior to getting a building. When I did uh my online school, I did not have a building.
Mm. Okay.
I did not have a building. What I did, I had a contract with a community college that I was working to help them build up their online school, right? And I
Mm.
was thinking, okay, they have this lab. Why can't I use their lab for my school?
Mm.
Because the online space, the students are coming on the theory, they come into lab 2 days, and then I don't see them again. We don't see them again, right? You don't have to. Now they can come somewhere or we can meet at the lab space. And so when I actually did my online, I was just cutting ties with my partner on the physical space with Bloom,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, how do I create this business with less overhead? So I got a virtual office, submitted it to the state, And then the state allowed me to use my contract that I was already another university, another community college that I was working with, to use their lab. And that's how I got it done without putting out all this money. So my experience in the way that I did it is how I help other people. I think some people would say, get this, do this, and do that. And I'm like, no, we don't need to do that yet. So not only are you getting someone that is, I am giving you the ropes, but I'm also saving you the mistakes that I've
And the
made
money.
or that I did in the past, even with my in-person school. And
Yes.
so that is the value. And again, being able to communicate to the state, because I've done it multiple times. So I know what they're asking for. I know
Right.
what they're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, think about it like this. Like, people think that paying taxes is the highest expense. It's not. Like, not knowing is the highest expense. So
Exactly.
if you think about, like in a CNA school,
Mm-hmm.
the person who wants to open up their own school, not knowing what to say, not knowing the things that they don't really need, really
Mm-hmm.
is their biggest expense, not
Oh
knowing.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
then, versus saying, you know what, let me just go ahead, hire a consultant, whether it's Anissa or not, hire a
Yeah.
consultant,
Yeah.
someone who does the thing, not who did the thing 10, 20 years ago. There's a
Yeah.
difference. And let me get on
There's
my
a
soapbox. Hunty, let me get on my soapbox for 1 second. Okay. There is a thing
yeah.
about hiring people to do or help you get to where you want to be, and they don't do that thing anymore, and they haven't done that thing in years. I'm not even
Mm-hmm.
talking about CNA schools. I'm talking about
Yeah.
anything in business, right?
Yes.
If I have bad credit, I'm not going to go out here and hire someone who did credit 20 years ago and knows nothing about what the new laws, the loopholes, all the
Mm-hmm.
things that will get me good credit within 30 to 60 days, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so I'm trying to help my people here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
stop going out for people with the most followers,
Yeah.
people who have hundreds of thousands of followers, but they're not doing the thing that they
Yes.
say that they're doing.
Yes.
It is going to be one of your biggest expenses, because you don't know, and they're not
Yeah.
going to teach you what you need to know.
Yeah.
Like, I had to get that off me. Whew, shake that off, baby. Let me shake that
yes.
off. I'm
Yeah.
serious, because I see it. I
Yeah.
see what's going on in these internet streets. Like, I see
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's the popularity thing. It's, oh, well, this person has over 10K followers. Yes, I have
Right.
over 12 something thousand followers,
Yeah.
but that ain't it. That's not
Mm.
it. I have receipts. I'm doing the thing. Anissa has receipts. She's doing the thing.
Yeah.
You're literally out here with
Yeah.
your active schools.
Exactly.
There's a difference. I
After
don't care
schools.
about what you did in the past.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
help me get it today?
Exactly.
Do you know
Exactly.
the rules? Do you know the laws? Do you know the
Exactly.
loopholes? Do you know? That's the thing. And
Let me
that's
tell
what
you
makes
the
you so valuable. Go ahead, sis. I'm okay.
yeah,
I'm done.
I
I'm
mean,
done.
no, when you talk sometimes I'm like, yes, yes. But what was interesting, I was just telling you, we put in for our in-person CNA school about 2 weeks ago. And why it's so important. I'm gonna give context to why it's important to have someone that's in the field or actively doing it. When I got the evaluator's name, it was the first evaluator. Give that to your dad. Please don't do that. It was the first evaluator that I had for my first school. So you are constantly building these new relationships or even old relationships that you are able to leverage and continue to use when you're actively in the field. So the evaluator that I have right now is the evaluator that I had with my first school with Bloom.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, "Hey, it's so you want somebody that not only is actively doing it, but that are
Come
building
on.
good relationships.
Come on.
Because let me tell you, the school in Philly, I haven't touched down in Philly yet. We're opening up one in Germantown for one of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
She said, well, are you going to need to come down here to get the contract? And I told her no.
No.
And the reason why I didn't have to go down there to get the contract is because I already know how to talk to the administrators. I know exactly what they're looking
Mm.
for. I know exactly how to communicate to them. And so I told her, say this, tell them that. give them my school name, give them this, give them that. We got the contract in one day in Philly.
Come, girl, stop the madness.
She was like, that's it. And I was like, that's it. And this particular client is not a nurse. So there's some things that I have to catch her up to speed in the medical field. But I think it's good to have someone that is knowledgeable, that's going to get it done. And it's like a no matter what type of thing. Like, we're going to get this done no matter what. And so, yeah, it's important to have somebody that's in the field for sure.
Yes. Okay, girl, I had to. All right, girl. I'm getting over a sinus infection. Look, I'm muting myself, and like, did I unmute myself? And I'm coughing, and look, my camera guy's like, drink water. I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to choke over here. But yeah, so let's talk about, and y'all know I keep it real. Like, this is not scripted. I don't care for having scripts, and I don't prep my guests. I don't say, I'm going to ask you this, so you say that. I don't do that. So it is what it is. I only, interview people who I'm in alignment with. So this is like a natural conversation that I'm having with one of my girlfriends. And we may say some things that you will not hear in the mainstream, and that's okay. If it aligns with what you or resonate with you, then go with it. If not, then oh well, don't.
Yeah.
But the one thing I know to be true is, when we're going to talk about the identity part, when you help someone, and it doesn't matter, this is across the board, when you help someone achieve a thing, let's say you're helping them get a school, whether it's brick and mortar or online, and then you've helped them, you told them what to say, you've gotten them through all the loopholes, you've gotten them to where they open the doors. That's just the beginning.
It is.
That's when the identity kicks in.
Yeah.
Identity doesn't kick in to say, oh, because think about it. Look at all these fake nurses out here with the fake degrees. That's not an identity thing. They just went and got one. They bought it.
And they passed the test.
They passed the test. Identity kicks in after you've achieved the goal. The goal is to get the school open, right? That's your initial goal. Now you got to make some money. It's a business. Did she say business? Oh Lord, I just wanted to teach in the school. I didn't know it was a business.
What's a business?
Speak on it, baby. Speak on it.
Yes. So that's the thing. I think when I was getting through the barriers of certain people, trying to figure out why or how did you start a school and you were a CNA, the biggest advantage that I had was that I've always operated things as a business, right? And so when I started the school, my mindset was already ready to get things in place to be able to operate a profitable business. So I got it approved. Then I had to figure out, okay, how much money do I want to make, right? And so when I started the school, I said, okay, I want to make $100,000 with this school. And I reverse engineered that. And so people look at the school, or they'll look at something and say, I have this, but the school is really not the biggest accomplishment. It's about being profitable.
Come on.
It's about having a business, not only that's profitable, that has impact. And so I went to Pepperdine University and I studied social entrepreneurship, which is basically creating social enterprises.
Okay.
So my brain is always thinking how to start a business and how to have impact. And so my first clients, my first students were actually emancipated foster youth.
Okay.
Right. And so that was how I became extremely profitable, because I was looking at, okay, where is the money? Where is the money? Where can I get guaranteed money? So I became a vendor for LA County, and then I was able to get paid from the government to educate students that were leaving out of the foster care system.
Okay.
So it's not just about having a business. It's about finding where is the money, right? But that takes a certain kind of thought process, right? I never actually my first year went out and solicited for students. I didn't.
Right.
Found out where the money was. And then I let them come to me because I realized I had something valuable already. Right. And so the other thing about the CNA business is you're looking to I mean, as a nurse, you have an advantage of maybe teaching and having less overhead. But because I'm not a nurse, I have to hire instructors. And so if I wanted to make a certain amount of money, I had to make sure that I was keeping an overhead that was low. Of course, paying my staff a good amount of money so that they would stay. But the way to do that was, okay, do I hire a nurse or do I hire an LVN? So I started to hire LVNs so that the business could be more profitable. And so, and then there's other ways to do it, but the business aspect of the CNA school is something there. It's a little bit about what's already in you, and then it's also something that has
Mm-hmm.
to be taught. You have to understand this is
Come
not a
on.
business out of your emotion. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be emotional, because I'll tell you this, and this is why it's good to have people that have already had a school.
Mm-hmm.
Those students will try to play you, and they're
Mm-hmm.
going to cost you if you don't know exactly how to walk them through how to get into your school and how to get out successfully. And so it's not just about having a school, it's knowing all the little things that could possibly
Mm-hmm.
happen. About the
Yeah.
state auditing you. What is the state going to audit you for? What
Mm-hmm.
are they looking for? What kind of paperwork do you need to make sure that your secretary is always checking so that you don't get in trouble?
Gotcha.
So it's bigger than just having the school itself.
Okay. So let me ask you this. What was like the most difficult part of being, because you got the identity. So the
Hmm.
being, what was the most difficult part of being, um, or becoming the person to have the business that is profitable? What was the most difficult part for you?
The most difficult part for me is um, giving people too much access.
Mm.
And I know that that probably doesn't make sense, but I had to learn that on my own when it came to the school. So imagine a student, I started this because I loved Black women. I just wanted to be, the open door for people to come in and get what they need. And so even my students, I would teach them about credit the first day, right? They were not, of course, I can't teach the CNA curriculum, but because it's my school, I can teach them whatever I want them to know, teaching them about vision and all
Facts,
that. But
facts.
one of the things that I realized is that my desire to be um, a I would say a supporter. My
Mm.
desire to want to be able to be close to people is actually was a detriment to my business, because the more you give people access, the less they value certain things. And so I realized, okay, you know what? Maybe they don't need to know that I'm the owner.
I know my girlfriend. She's owned her own businesses for many many years, like almost 2 decades,
Mm-hmm.
and she said that she had that same issue.
Mm-hmm.
But she said that now nobody knows she owns anything. Her employees. She has like 20 something employees. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
that she's the boss. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever she shows up, they just think she's like a supervisor or something. And she says
Mm-hmm.
when they have a question or something, she says, I need to go ask the CEO or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and she says nobody knows when she's going to go out of town on vacation. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
have to have that barrier, because
Oh
that
man.
will make or break your business.
Oh, it will. And I'm not just talking about students. I'm talking about,
Anybody.
imagine that I'm hiring nurses and they go, oh, she's a CNA and she has this school. Like, how difficult it is for people that feel like they're overqualified to have this school. And I'm saying, hey, can you come in today?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn, first of all, that, how people looked at me or what they thought I was qualified for was not my business. That was not even a concern for me, right? But I also had to learn that my love for people cannot surpass human psychology.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, in human psychology, when you give people too much
Access.
access that don't deserve it,
Girl, don't
that
make
don't
me start
deserve the
shouting.
access.
Let me put this iPad down before I start shouting.
Now,
Woo!
when I say deserve, that doesn't mean that person is not valuable.
Mm.
But say for example, why is it that, everybody can't be in VIP? Because everybody doesn't know how to act in VIP. Everybody doesn't know the type of etiquette, right? And so when I say deserve, it doesn't mean that people are not valuable. But God showed me really early in this process how important it is, to stay in your authority, to stay in your position, and not to come down so that other people feel comfortable. It's not my job to make you comfortable. I'm here to do the work of the one who sent me, and
Mm.
that has nothing to do with you. You know?
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, you're here. You just said it. I'm here to do the work of the one who sent me.
Hmm.
It's and now I know this, but I'm trying to ask the question so that the people
Yeah.
that don't know this,
Yes.
so they can get
Yes.
the full understanding of the Proverbs 31 woman, because
Hmm.
so many women can identify and they take on that identity when they hear you talking about the Proverbs 31 woman. I saw a post you
Yeah.
made the other day about
Hmm.
buying cattle or,
Yes.
farmland and things like that.
Yes.
And that, I mean, just give my audience just a little snippet of what it means and what it takes and who is the profitable the profitable Proverbs 31 woman.
Man, she is this woman is she's a bad mama jamma.
Okay.
Um she is. And so before I even started to teach this and talk about this, it came to me as a form of lesson that God wanted me to walk through. And I had no idea that I would be teaching it, right? And so I went to the scripture, and I didn't go to it like trying to find anything, but I was asking God, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to talk about? And so it was not even about me talking to people. It was like, what do I need to know? And so Proverbs 31 came, but we have always been taught this. If you're a Christian, right? We've been
Mm-hmm.
taught that this particular woman is a wife, right? And so I wasn't going to this scripture. I was already a wife, so I didn't need the identity of that, right? I
Mm,
went to the scripture and I realized that this has been hiding in plain sight from all women.
mm.
This was a businesswoman.
Come on.
This woman was a businesswoman. And I said, why hasn't anybody talked about this to this capacity? I've seen people talk about it. I've seen people take snippets and say, oh, she buys land, she buys real estate. But it's a full identity.
Come
It's
on.
levels. It's
Mm,
levels to who she is, right? And so one of the first things that I saw about her, it talked about her being precious,
mm.
right? And I was like, well, what does that mean? And that was the first lesson that God was teaching me about access,
Okay.
right? Because when you're precious, there are certain things you can't do, certain places you can't go, not
Mm-hmm.
because, oh, I'm better or I'm holier. And it's not all about that, because I think people present all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I understand that I have an assignment and I have this thing that it's certain places that will taint or devalue the very thing that I am.
Mm.
So if I took on the very first thing that I learned with the
Mm-hmm.
very first scripture, that you're being precious, that's going to dictate a lot of things.
Mm.
Just that one alone. I'm precious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that means you can't just treat me any old kind of way. And that means that I'm not going to accept it. Like, if I'm the child of the king, that means I am, a part of the most high.
I need like tambourines. I need the effects. I need the effects like we have in church, but let me stop. so
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 it's levels. It's levels to it. And I know that people can get a to-do list. I can give you a to-do list of the principles. And, us as women, we are very good at doing things. If somebody gives you a to-do list, they'll go, oh, well, I'm a Proverbs 31 woman because I've done this, because I've done that. And I had to
no,
tell
that makes you a
people,
doer.
a doer, right? This, before you even do it, if you grab hold of the identity, it will come by osmosis. It will come automatically when you really grab hold of the identity and not trying to look like the identity. But if you actually
Oof.
believe, if you actually believe who God said that we are, step by
Mm-hmm.
step, and walking through that,
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you how I took on that identity of precious.
Come on.
Someone did something, and I still hold on to it, but someone did something real disrespectful to me recently. And I mean, crossed a very crazy boundary, right? And I was like, oh, I don't need to respond to that. I don't respond to, like when you think, if you imagine the queen, right? There's a crowd and there's all these people. People are saying different things. She doesn't respond to everything that goes on in that audience because the audience does not dictate or determine who she is, right?
Come
So
on, come
something happened
on.
recently. Something happened, and I was like, I paused for a second because my old Anissa that God has been burning out would have pulled up on somebody, right?
Oh
And I
shoot.
had every right to.
It's the Crenshaw coming out, y'all.
It's the Crenshaw,
It's the
okay?
Crenshaw coming
Right?
out. I knew it was gonna
Right?
come
Listen, would have pulled up. But even in that moment, let me tell you how God tests us. I had every right to in that moment.
out.
There was, if somebody would have said, oh, yeah, you did that, girl, yes, right? But I went a step further because I realized that God tests us, right? There's a scripture in, I think it's in Exodus 16:4. I had never seen it before, but
Mm-hmm.
it says, I'm testing them to see if they will do as I instructed them.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
So sometimes things happen, and it's really a test to who you say that you are. Now,
Mm.
can you imagine? I am the profitable Proverbs 31 woman. I am walking in all this and I'm doing what God wants me to do. I'm sitting here talking to women, opening up schools. And then somebody got to bail me out because I didn't
Ooh.
put my hands on somebody. Like that's a contradiction,
Yeah.
right? To who
For sure.
God said that I am today.
Come on.
So what he uses, that same fire that I had years ago that I would use in a bad way, is the same fire that I'm using for the assignment.
Oh my God. You know what? This is not. We can't keep going. We can't. We gotta wrap this up. Okay. Because you
but
know you
but
are
let me
going
tell
down
you
a
this,
rabbit hole.
sister. It
Huh?
says meekness is power under control.
For sure. 100%. Meekness is, yes, power under control.
Under control.
Like we really need to. Oh God, we just don't have time. We don't have time. This is a show. This is an episode. Oh my God. Of course I'm gonna have you come back. Of course. But yes, I really, really want it because there's so many levels to you.
Yeah.
And I also know that we can't get it all out in one show.
Yeah.
I know that we
Yeah.
can't. But I just wanted to at least introduce you to my
Yeah.
audience. I wanted
Yeah.
to introduce you to the audience because I know that they're going to fall in love with you if they haven't already, just like I have, right?
Yeah.
You have so much wisdom. You have so much knowledge. Just a doll. I mean, a complete doll in every way. You embody the profitable Proverbs 31 woman, and I want to give you your flowers now. You do,
Thank
and
you,
I,
sis.
I, I respect you a lot for who you are. You're always, always an astute woman, no matter
Thank you.
what. I've seen a lot of different attacks coming your way, but you've always, stood your ground and you had held your head high with integrity. And I love that
Hmm.
about you. Um,
Yes.
I know what you do business wise. You do so many other different things. You help
Yeah.
so many people. And
Yeah.
I really wanted my audience to see and to, to tap into the things that you have to
Yes.
offer them. So can you just briefly let everybody know how they can reach out to you, what you have going on, how you can
Yeah.
help serve them?
Absolutely. So right now, I wasn't doing this, but my I have a sister that is in San Diego. She has a CNA school as well, and she said, "Let's teach people what we know, what we do together." So we collaborate with our schools. We're always working together to improve our curriculums and all that. So we are currently doing a CNA school in a box, teaching only 18 people. Like we literally know this is how many people we can service with integrity, right? To be able to give you exactly what it is that you need. So we're taking 18 people
Mm-hmm.
to learn how to start your own CNA school. And the good part is you're getting two people. You're getting an RN, right? I'm always talking about RNs, but I love me some RNs,
You
and
better.
I love y'all, but y'all get on my nerves
It's okay. It's okay.
sometimes. But so you have the RN who's had a school for over 10 years. She loves the in-person school. I am the CNA who loves the online space. And we're going to talk about our mistakes, our problems, our everything, and how we actually work together to improve our businesses. And so you'll get both of us teaching you how to start your own school, 18 people. We're doing a workshop this coming Monday and Tuesday. And I think we're
What are
going
the
to run
dates?
one.
What are the dates?
The date is January 30th and January 31st. And
Okay.
this workshop is to really give people enough information to see if it's a good fit for them.
Okay.
Because it may not be a good fit. It may not be what you are supposed to do.
Right.
And so I've actually turned down starting schools for people.
Right. So,
So
so January 30th and
January
31st,
30th
Monday
and
and Tuesday.
31st,
What time is
yes,
it?
it's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard. So if you're on the East Coast, it's a little bit late. It's 10 p.m. your
Okay.
time. Central is 9 a.m. I mean 9 p.m. And you can find the link in my bio on Instagram. On
No.
Instagram, you can find me,
What is
or you can find
what is the link?
the link is in the bio. I don't know. It's just a link
Okay.
there.
We'll have the link ready for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
You know, when this airs, we'll have the link. And then how often are you guys going to do this?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I want
That's
to,
fair.
uh,
That's fair.
and I don't know because we're short CNA schools, we're short medical professionals, and that was probably my driving force to do it because we can't service everybody. But we want to get 18 people to start their own school in their states, and we'll see how it goes. But I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. All right. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. So, I guess they better get in
You
now.
better get in where you fit in.
Get in where you fit
I
in.
I do want to talk just really short about the business model, but I'll go ahead and wait until you ask me. I'm
I mean,
anxious.
go ahead. You want to talk
Oh,
about it? Go ahead.
yeah. So with the CNA school, why I love the school is because you're able, like I was saying, to reverse engineer how much money you want to make, and whatever your capacity is. And so just starting off, you can have a morning class, you can have an evening class, and a weekend class. So you can offer three different types of schedules, right? And then kind of break down how much money you want to make based off of what it is that you're offering. So I teach people that this is not a business that you have to quit your job. You can actually create your curriculum around your schedule. And if you're a nurse, say you work night shift, maybe you want to do a daytime class or you want to do a weekend. And so this is not a business that you have to just jump in kind of head forward and quit your job, but it'll definitely take over your income that you make at work based on how you structure your classes. And so though that's one of the things that I love about the school.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that. I'm so glad you shared that. All right, so this has been amazing, amazing, amazing. Trust me, everyone. This will not be her last time on here on the TMAC Inspired show. So she'll be a staple around these pods. Okay. I'm so grateful and I'm honored that you shared your story with us and how
Yeah.
you serve people and how they can tap into what you have going on. You are on Instagram. What's your handle?
Aneesa Getaneh, just first and last name on Instagram. Aneesa Getaneh, Getaneh.
Okay, Aneesa Getaneh on IG. Facebook, is it the same, Anissa?
Same thing.
Same thing on Facebook. Are you on TikTok and all those things?
I am on TikTok. I'm getting on there, but yes, I'm on there under She Is Pretty on Paper.
Oh
She
yeah,
pretty on paper.
she's pretty on paper. She's written books, y'all. She has journals out. She has a whole community. Y'all just
Yes,
tap in, follow her. YouTube, it's Aneesa Getaneh as well, right?
yes, Aneesa
Tap
Getaneh.
in with her. Y'all know I don't have people on here that I don't. Yeah. Okay. So tap in. Tap in. If you are um, you do men and women, right?
Yeah,
You help men and women with
don't
CNA school.
discriminate. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
discriminate, but she doesn't. So if you are looking to open a CNA school, she does offer that CNA in a box. So make sure
Yes.
you tap into the workshop, 2-day workshop. All right. And I want to say thank you,
Thank you
sis.
for sis. This was amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. All right, rich friends, thank you for tuning in to the T-Max Show. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and doing all the other cool things that you do to help support what I have going on to help serve you better. Also, do me a really, really quick favor. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Google, whatever that's called, or Spotify, whatever, do me a favor and write a review or just click the stars, right? If you're really enjoying this show, it really, really helps get me in front of the people who God has really called me to serve. I want to be able to help as many people as possible, but I need you to help me help everyone else, all right? Until the next time, remember, it's Dr. T-Mac, and you can have it all.